We're
Good
back.
afternoon. I am telling you. How are you doing, Tracy?
I'm doing well. How are you, Owen?
I am doing well this 21st day of May 2025, season 6, EP6. I was looking at the different artwork we do for the show, and I saw 991 of them, I believe. I was like, 91 shows we've done?
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. Gosh, we're going to be coming up on 100 shows. We're going to have to do something for that.
Hey, anything that stays that long, I think we've stood the test of time. We've stood the test of obstacles and hindrances. Stood the time of our own obstacles. Our personal. Because there are certain times I'm like, I want to go. Do I want to go? And then as soon as I come on, it's like, yes, I'm so happy I'm here. But 100 shows. I look to see which one is the 100th one, and then we can just do a big hula baloo here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I still hear the music.
I know
Oh,
I'm
you do?
dropping
Okay.
it.
I was like,
I'm
it
dropping
went
it.
off and then it came back on again. I know. Well, when you said it stands the test of time, I mean, it has been some time since we were on live. Probably so
It
much so
was.
that people forgot to join us because, it's like, are they going to be there? Are they not going to be there? But I believe we're in a time because we've really come so far from this idea of dedication and commitment means, right? Dot, dot,
Mm,
dot.
mm.
And and that's just one thing, like what anything is supposed to look like, you know?
Wow.
This concept of like, if you're gonna have something, you have to be this way about it. You have to be consistent, you have to, or don't do it at all, right?
Mm.
That's one thing I know I've struggled with because I've always considered myself to be someone who likes to be loyal and consistent, and it kind of comes naturally for me. Um, that when for whatever reason things can't be that,
Hmm.
kind of playing around with that. Does that make me wrong? Does that make me, that whole piece of being more in the flow of saying, because so much has changed and
Wow.
shifted. And as we were talking offline, I talked to a woman today where it was this moment where I realized that she represented and is something that I didn't even know I was looking for.
Wow.
And so it's that idea of, can I get out of my head on how things are quote unquote supposed to be, or how I've done things in the past and the identity I've attached to that, and what that means to me as a person, right? And what that means to what's right for me or wrong for me, or is it possible to sit in the void for a little bit and
Hmm.
kind of delay judgment, delay
Gotcha.
the decision making process, and just let yourself experience it, because in that moment, like when I was speaking to this woman, I found myself, what I felt in my body was emotion. And I thought,
Hmm.
well, that's interesting. Like resonance came up as emotion for me. Like I was resonating
Wow.
with what she was saying. I was resonating with what she is all about and what she offers and everything. And it was coming up emotionally for me. And I thought, huh. And then what kind of came through with me was my heart was just, there was something in her message and in her
Mm.
that was opening my heart to something, like I said, I didn't even know that I wanted. Um,
Wow.
and that's that curiosity factor. Like we talk about the importance of curiosity and everything. Like it's more of a multifaceted curiosity. It's not just curiosity of the head. It's if we allow ourselves to sit in a void and not jump too quickly on things need to be this way because they've always been this way or whatever,
Mm.
then we may
Mm.
be able to experience something that we didn't even know we could or wanted to experience.
Wow. I got more questions for that. But I today I was mowing the lawn and had these two ladies in my ear. I don't. They're two women of God, and they were having a conversation of healing the soul. And one of them started to speak, and I just heard you. Remember how you say when you're going through something through hurt and pain that sometimes we want to jump out of it, find an aid, find something that to consider, find an aid, and then you don't feel it. You don't go through the entire process of healing,
You
and
distract
then
yourself from it. Yeah.
you distract, and you don't go through the hurt. You don't go through whatever that emotion is. And when you used to say that, I would be like, yeah, that's true, but gosh, I'm punishing myself. But no, you're not. She goes on to say that if you go through one fourth of it and you don't allow yourself to feel the whole, healing cannot come. One, and two, you would go and get a false aid. So that false, what we'll call it, that crutch that you would get would become. So I'm thinking, I'm going through pain and hurt. I can't go through the entire pain and hurt. I start drinking, or I start womanizing. I start doing something that numbs that,
Mhm, mhm.
not knowing. Instead of me going through the entire process, I would know how to deal with it, because through those different stages where I feel, I can't breathe, my heart cannot take this anymore. Your body and God will show you exactly how to go through that, and you become a better person down the road for going through the entire thing. Because most people, I can talk for myself, and I think I can talk for you also, because I think this conversation will unpack that. We have gone through pain for one reason, gone through it so that we can fast track others who are on that path to say, guess what? You're going to go through A, B, C, and D.
Mhm,
Expect that. And you will get out better for it. Like, look at us, even though you may not know if we're better for it, but I promise you that you will get better for it. Does it make sense,
Oh,
Tracy?
100%. I believe we're all in that position. I mean, I think
Mm.
some of us are naturally designed, to be teachers, guides, leaders, whatever you want to call it.
True.
To kind of go the way and so others, show the way so others can go the way if they choose. But
Yes.
going back to what you just said, I think there's a big distinction between recrimination and opening to understanding,
Okay.
right? So this, when we're experiencing that hurt, and we're in this period where we're self-lashing, right? We're recriminating. We're judging ourselves. We're we're feeling the hurt. We're making the experience about the emotion, right?
Mhm.
About the fear, about the grief, about the shame, about the whatever it is we're experiencing, right? That we want to distract ourselves from.
Mhm.
We make that about the emotion, but the emotion is a data point. That'd be the same thing as making a moment about the thought. So we had a thought that, oh my gosh, I hope my child doesn't, they're driving for the first time in in a place that they're not familiar with. I hope they don't crash. And like, that'd be like making
Mm.
that thought our entire focus,
Yes.
right? And we know not to do that. So it's the same thing with our emotions. They're there to say, hey, there's a fear. Like if I had a thought like that, it's like that sends me a data point of there's a fear there that's
Mm.
attached to my struggle to let my child, to believe that my child is in good hands, and all these things, that believe my child will be fine, whatever that is. Like it's a limiting
Hmm.
belief that's
Yes.
and so we can stop ourselves in our thoughts. Same thing with our emotions, right? So the emotion is just like a data point that's we're feeling the fear come up. But if we make it about the fear and we get all caught up in it, and then we make a story about it, and
Hmm.
we recriminate, right? We cycle into that space of it's not about the delivery system.
Hmm.
It's not about the vehicle. It's not about the symptom, right? The symptom comes from a deeper like it's coming from something else. Something else is the focal point.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
opening to understanding means we see it as a data point, that we're there to understand, like, oh, I'm witnessing myself having a lot of fears about X, right? I want to understand that. Why now? Why is this coming up? Why is this bubbling to the surface? What is it showing me? What is it telling me? What data
Hmm.
is there, right? How can I understand this more and not make it about it, right? Face value. And for some reason, well, not for some reason, we have been completely conditioned to our heads. So it's one thing to do that work with our thoughts. It's a whole different thing to do it with our emotions, because we've been trained away from them. And
Wow.
men, even more than women. Men have been allowed to show aggression and anger. Those are emotions that are allowable. We see it in men's sports, but I mean that's why a lot of psychologists. There's one male psychologist, Robert Masters, who talks about this, and he said, you know, men have all the emotions women have, but they have been trained to think that they have to funnel all of those emotions through two.
Whew.
And it's so powerful. So it's like, I'm happy and I show aggression. I'm sad and I show aggression. I'm confused and I show anger. Like it's because it's what our social, constructs
Mm.
have allowed. So yeah, I think reclaiming all of this and being like, why do I keep feeling angry when actually I feel it's grief? Well, maybe it's because
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can show grief, or whatever it is, right?
Wow.
Um, there's a lot of data there.
Wow. I like that. I like, and again, I'm going to tell you, I'm looking at you masterfully choosing your words, and you said something, and you put a whiteout on it immediately. No, and this is the right word to use in this scenario, in this conversation. But let's go back to this lady. Tell me what emotions came out. What was the subject of this conversation, if you can share, and how deep you want to go?
Yeah, I
Unpack
mean,
it.
she was an introduction through actually a recent somebody who I've recently met through
Okay.
somebody else who I have in common, with this other person, and I'm finding that my life is being very led. I mean, it's always been led, but I'm really consciously aware of just how led
Mm.
it really is more recently. I've drawn a lot of lines in the sand, in the sense of, what do I want? And I'm going to focus on what I want, not what I don't want. And not that I feel like I was consciously focusing on what I didn't want, but I think I was struggling with saying, I really want partnerships. I want
Mm.
reciprocal partnerships. I want to give and receive. I
Mm.
want a sustainability to the connections that I'm in. I want a collaboration. Like, partnership to me is interdependency, not codependency.
Mm.
And really defining that for myself. And I just fired a client a couple weeks ago because there was a lot going on in this person's life, but they didn't communicate that. I would have never known. And there was a
Mm.
2-week period where they just didn't get back to me. And so I finally wrote a letter saying, in all of my letter, an email. In all my years of coaching, I find there's two main standouts when it comes to issues within organizations.
Mm.
And those are problems with communication and decision making, which is why I focus on helping my clients be a part of the solution and not be part of a problem in those two areas.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, although we work on a lot of things.
Gotcha.
And for that reason, I know that this relationship is not a fit. It's not a partnership, right? Because there's a lack of communication.
Yeah. Wow.
And I honor if there's things going on, but I can't work in a vacuum.
Correct.
And
Yes.
I also, to be honest, find the fact that you couldn't take a second to reach back out in 2 weeks, both disrespectful and highly unprofessional. So
Mhm.
just drawing a line in the sand.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry this didn't work out. I do wish you well. I'm breaking this contract because I'm breaking it. You don't owe anything. Just kind of the nuts and bolts of it, and
Yeah.
wish you well. And so I did get a reply a couple days later. But my whole point to this is saying that I know that life, when we say life is short, life is a blessing.
Hmm.
And it is also an investment. And is an investment of my time and energy and what I want to create and experience in this lifetime.
Wow.
As the blessing that I have been bestowed. And so, is this it? Is this how I want to be spending my time and energy?
Yeah.
No. And who do I want to be in this moment? Right? Like, I want to be the person who is generous and kind, but clear.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be, I'm not going to, I can't believe you. That's not the person I want to be. It doesn't matter how I'm being treated. I want to treat others the way I want to be treated.
Yeah.
And so it's really been a great mark of saying, this is who I am choosing to be, and this is what I'm choosing to want in return. And just the synchronicity of people coming to my life. So this woman, she is running a company that basically helps businesses in particular sectors, especially, but she can be industry agnostic.
Okay.
Essentially empower themselves to run based on what is functionally, operationally sound, but also in alignment with who they are. And she is Christian based, so she works with a lot of, it doesn't have to be faith based, but
Correct.
she does magnetize a lot of those businesses and business owners to her. And she also runs she's being called to a ministry, and we got into this great conversation about how women tend to minister differently. And as she was talking, it was like I was in church. And there was this moment of realization of, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this is what I wanted. Right? That I'm looking for a place that, because I've often found that even in my upbringing, I was always very curious about going to different churches with different friends. I mean, I even had Jewish friends that I wanted to go to synagogue because I wanted to experience their way of practicing their faith.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been very curious culturally and socially about people's faith practice. And I did a lot of that as a kid, and it was great. And I even chose to go to a Catholic, undergraduate college for that reason, because I didn't have a lot of Catholic friends growing up, and I wasn't raised Catholic, but I really wanted to understand it. So the best way to do that is immerse yourself in it. And so I've always had a curiosity there, and yet moving to where we are now in the more southern region, I've really struggled. Well, my whole family has struggled to find a church home. It's just a totally different culture here. And one that also fits into our day to day. I mean, I don't necessarily want to have to drive 2 hours, I mean, that's hard to be a part of a church community when you're like 2 hours or an hour and a half away. And so it's been something that, my daughter is back really curious about that. I mean, we started to go to a church when she was in preschool, because she went to a Christian preschool, and she really loved it. She was a very pious kid. She did, she would always wear the like turtlenecks, and it was really funny. Like to watch her, even as a small child. Our neighbor used to joke, "Don't put her in a cardigan," because with the little glasses, she looked like a librarian. But it was cute, and we're like, but we had such a horrible experience with this church that we became a part of, and I think it soured us, to that whole community piece.
Wow.
And so now my daughter has a friend who goes to church, and her family is very involved in their church, and she went last weekend to church with them and loved it. And she said, Mom, I really want to keep going with them and see, if this is something that, I want. And obviously she's going to college in the fall, and she'd like to get involved in, something there.
Yeah.
And so she's reawakening that within herself. And it's beautiful to watch. And so, here I am kind of in this space, and this woman's talking to me, and she's just such a light, right? She just is this energy bubble of brightness. And I realized in that moment, and it came up as the data that was coming up was not mental, it was emotional.
Gotcha.
And it was like, what's going on with me? Why am I getting emotional listening to this woman talk about her sculpture, scripture and social groups? And it was because I was missing something.
What what does she have? What does
she have?
What's her niche? What's her niche? What's her model that attracts you?
Well, she does it in a very feminine way. My experience with church has been a lot of very kind of, because the masculine systems, command and control systems, and this is no shade on men. I'm talking about the systems.
Correct.
And all systems have been oriented in aligned to masculine psychology, which is command and control. It's supposed to really be command and control of oneself, but you create systems like that and it can command and control others. And I've also been a wild child my whole life. I came out being like, don't tell me how to interpret scripture. I'll figure that out myself. And so I've oftentimes had a hard time being led if I didn't feel that I was a partner with the person. If they just wanted to show me the way and show me what to do and force it into me, I was a fucking Bronco my whole life. And this is not just about church stuff, right?
Correct.
Not just about religion and faith, but really everything. And I didn't realize that I've always been searching for partnerships, not dictatorships. And I didn't want to be a dictator in things, and I don't want to be dictated to. And I think I've always just come across as untrainable, but really I'm highly coachable if you approach me as an equal. It doesn't mean I have to know what you know. Like when somebody immediately treats me like I'm less than because I don't know what they know, I'm like, yeah, not for me. And I don't want to do that in my guidance either, right? I have deep respect for the people who I'm there to help guide, and equally because I see them as a guide for myself.
Wow.
And so I realized in this moment that this woman was speaking to my heart and my beliefs, but in a way that was so different. In a way that was more the feminine psychology, that was the collaboration and the we're in this together, and this is your life and you get to lead, and I'm here in the sidecar, and if I can help guide and direct where you have blind spots. It's exactly how I coach. Correct. But she is creating these things not around church per se, but around social outings and get-togethers and meals and experiences of hiking in nature and coming together as we do as humans. We doing human things and discussing our faith and our beliefs and what resonates in our hearts, not in a building we call church. And again, I have nothing. I mean, one of my favorite things to do when I was living in Europe was to go through cathedrals and churches. Like, don't get me wrong, I love being in a beautiful church. I don't love being dictated to, and I really don't think any human being does. It's why we have free will. And so, anyway, that it just she just her bright light spoke to me, and how she is choosing to create her path forward really, again, it aligned. It
Wow.
aligned, and it was an awakening in that moment for me. So it was very special.
You know, a couple things you talk about, you know, and church really isn't, the word is ecclesia, you know, it's a gathering. It's a gathering of people. The building is a building, but what makes church is you, myself, others coming together and talking and experiencing. As you were talking, you know, in Acts, it says that they shared everything together, their food, things in common, and then the church grew. So what you're talking about really is how church is supposed to be.
Yes.
You
She
know,
said that
you
too. I don't mean to interrupt, but what you just
no,
said, the quote you just gave was exactly what she said. She goes, I started this as a group, and the groups have grown.
yes,
She says they're
yes.
growing themselves. I'm not saying I need to grow these groups. The groups are growing, just they're proliferating. And she says my job now is to help, find ways to support these groups, because I'm one person. I can't,
Mm, you know,
be the one leading all the groups, and I'm not supposed to be the one leading all the groups.
uh-huh.
So yeah,
Oh,
I just had to share that because I'm like, oh my gosh, that is exactly what she said.
so I think it's Acts 16, um, Acts 16 verse 5. Let me just Acts 16. It says here, um, the churches were strengthened and in faith and grew daily in numbers. It's, you know, there's and it's organic. See,
It's
that's the
organic.
part about about church or any organization that will continue, that will be sustained. That if it's organic, it's not, you know, now they have, you know, how to grow a church, and which there's a science to it, church growth and development, but it's around services, servicing your demographic. If you're living in Cary has Filipinos, it has Asians, it has blacks, it has whites, it has all these different types. Your church must have that group in there, and you must be engaging with them for things that what they need. You're not stuffing things down their throat, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that you said, that that just 2 or 3 days ago, I was talking to Verlin. Uh, I've never been part of a fraternity, and I wanted to. I've never been part of, you know, these, so be it college, be it the different, you know, the Masons or whatever it is. And I said to myself, why haven't I done that? And eavesdroppers, I see you here. Drop a line, drop a word. I see you coming, and I see you've been here for a while. I'm talking to you. Drop us a line. Let us know, you know, what your thoughts are. But I said I would never go under another person and be subject to when I'm going to get up. And that's the military also. I'm not, and I'm grateful to them, because there are people like that. But I'm not made like that. And I was reading the Bible, and it hit me. It's not only fraternities, but it's just my life. In Galatians 5, I think it was Galatians 5:15, no, 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self control. Against
Mm.
such things there is no law. Against such things there is no law. Against love, against joy, peace, forbearance, patience, kindness, goodness, nothing can control that. Nothing can control that fruit, those fruits. Nothing can control it because it's freedom. So when I engage in the
Yeah,
world
panic.
and I have hate, man, you can control me with my hate. You can control me with my impatience, because
Mm,
when I'm impatient, as soon as something happens, I'm ready to what are you doing?
mm.
What are you, uh hey there, Verlin, I see you. Hello, this is a good conversation. Appreciate it, dear.
Thanks,
um,
Verlin.
uh, there is nothing that can put me in confinement when I
Yeah.
love you, when I'm patient with you, when I'm not selfish, when I'm kind. So when you were saying I don't want to be, put it down my throat, or command and control on others, I don't want that kind of control. And up till now in church, Tracy, when the pastor says something, I come home, I open it, I study it myself, because I don't want to live my life or have my ethos based off what another person thinks mine should be, or what he proffers. I want my own. I want my own ethos. I want my own. So let me be the one to botch it. But mind you, I'm
Mm,
listening. I'm not closing myself to say I'm walking this thing alone. As you
mm.
said, it's about collaboration.
Totally. That was the piece, is that I
Mm,
realized that what she was describing that she's created was the type of community of faith led and
mm,
based humans, because it isn't just women. She has some groups that are couples. She has some groups that are just single people in certain
mm.
age groups. She has, like, I mean, it's like it runs the gamut because these groups organically form, right?
Yes.
And so it it is here to serve, again, as a framework. Like you said, church is just a building where we come to gather, as the faithful who are aligned in our faith. And for me, it's also, there's other pieces that are important. I mean, one of the things, I hate to say, this is going to sound so superficial to some people, but super important to me. I hated church gatherings because the food is nothing I could eat. I can't eat processed food, like, I just can't. I mean, I could if I was starving, but, like, the whole point is that's not how I feed myself, right? So I'm not trying to sound discriminatory here. What I'm saying is that
I
the
know.
alignment needs to be what is true alignment. Some people don't care about these things, or if that's how they eat and that's how they're serving, then they feel very aligned.
Mm,
Um, that's why the one church we were a part of for a little bit, they had a big community garden, and a lot of the things came from the garden. So there was an alignment of that. There just wasn't alignment of the older congregation who would get angry with my small child because she wanted to dance a little bit in the aisle, not in the aisle, in the sorry, and next to us, where we
correct.
were seated.
Wow.
And it's like she's joyous. She's 5. She wants to celebrate when we're playing music, right? It's not like there was no music going on and she wants to just run around. Um, but the whole point
Wow.
being, it's not like I'm looking for perfection. It's not like, oh,
Mm-mm.
everybody in the congregation has to do things the way I do them. It's more, I don't need a place. And I think part of what she said too, she says, yeah, we have social events. I'm like, I love that idea. I love doing different things. I mean, I was just saying, I was joking with, who was it? Oh, I was checking out, I got groceries the other day and I was at Whole Foods, and we were talking about this particular kind of kombucha, and the one woman who was the checker, she says, oh, I love that brand. And I said, me too. And I said, my daughter likes these flavors, and her boyfriend always goes to the same flavor. I said, for me, I'm always looking for the next new thing. Like, although I have to say there was a pickle kombucha, and I was like, I think I'll make a pass on the pickle kombucha because that sounds disgusting. But I like different. I like
Yeah.
unique. I don't want the
Yeah.
same experience all the time. And so
Wow.
that's the whole point, is I think church doesn't have to look how it has traditionally looked.
Yeah.
It can be so many things. And as she was saying, this woman I was talking to, Laura Workman, I'm going to just do a shout out because I think she's amazing. Laura Workman, she said, we have forgotten how to live in a tribe. And that is the first way we came together as humans, which means it's organic, right? If we naturally, without thinking, came together in tribal cultures first, and then we built community second, that it is a social, biological ingrainment. And we have forgotten. She says, when I look at social media, we have forgotten I'm say rules of the road, but the way in which we come together. Hey, Carl, the way in which we come together in community, in tribe, where we recognize and we honor the value that each person plays. Right?
Yes.
Each person, each role. I said to a client the other day, I said, I know that even a person on the side of the road, seemingly doing nothing, has value. And you know how I know that is because that person wouldn't be here if they did it.
Wow.
Right. And so we forgot how that's tribal communities were that. Everybody had value in a tribe, and we've forgotten that. So anyway, all of that to say that I just reclaimed something really special today. And not only did I reclaim it, thanks to my conversation with Laura, but I have found a solution for it, potentially.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. When something works, it just works. You can't force it. You can't fake it. It happens and as we said, it's organic. You see, we're part of a church I'm here in Liberia right now, but in North Carolina, it's Cornerstone Family Church, and it's not wild. When I say wild, the Holy Spirit runs the program. It's mission based, so there's a whole lot of going out into the world, but it's also putting the fire in the Carolinas is one of the mottos, meaning the fire that we have in this church, we want to share it with others. We want drug addicts, we want divorcees, we want people who are shunned per se because of what the Bible says.
Just because of interpretations of what the Bible says.
Thank you.
Yeah, I always say that it's the interpretation of the Bible.
So last night, thank you so much for that clarification. I 100% agree. Last night, we're in this hybrid meeting at the church we attend now. The Light Center is on Old Road. We were sitting, and this lady comes to speak to us. She spoke to us on human rights and advocacy. She's 19. She was 19 at the time, and she's a PK, a preacher's kid. And one thing she said, you guys tend to think preachers' kids are anointed and they're not supposed to be anything. No, we're the ones who the devil comes and hits on because he can't get on daddy or mom. So mom and dad will have to move their eyes off God and come and handle the kids, in their issues. But she said she got pregnant. And when she got pregnant as a teenager, she couldn't go to her father's church. She had to run away. She had to leave town and wanted to abort even up to 6 months.
Mm.
However, she didn't do it because the doctor told her all these gruesome, showed her all these gruesome things, and she's like, "Okay, call my dad, call my dad." And when the dad called, the dad was so heartbroken that she didn't tell him earlier. But here's the main point: the place that is supposed to embrace you. That's what I came from an era of it takes a
Mhm.
village, but nowadays people are like, yeah, I'm doing me. Let me do me, boo.
Well, and I
um,
think a lot of there's. I
the,
want to come back to that in just a second, so
yeah,
we'll keep that up there if that's
I'll
okay.
I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back. So she says, I say, the place that is supposed to embrace, the place that what I talked about, there is no law against it, no law against loving, being kind, being patient. The place that teaches the people who are in there interpreting,
Mm.
make it harder for the others who are truly attempting to become better. You see, when
Yep.
you were talking just now about, your daughter wanting to dance in service, and other people looking and saying, don't dance, don't dance. I truly believe, we're so protective of our clan, our family. I truly believe it would have been a learning experience, and not a shove it in the face, just to have them know this is a child expressing joy.
She was in
And what
it. Yeah, she was.
and
She
and
was probably
and
more present to that moment than most of the people in the room.
and do you know that what truly offended them would be the fact that they are joyless, and that they're seeing this child in so much joy that they go, you need to sit down. Whatever it is, it's always that projection that now may have affected your may have affected your engagement. So the flip to this, eavesdroppers, when we go into these places where some people think they're owners, they
Mm.
think they're owners because they've been there for quite a while, and they may have a particular seat there.
Right.
uh
They have their
they're
experience that they're accustomed to.
yes, they're not the owners of these places. And it's important that we don't leave, that we go and we educate and say your behavior, and give feedback. Because I'll turn this back over to you and put what Carl put on. My dad stopped going to a particular church because when he went to, I think I told you this before, when he went to service, he didn't have a coat on him. He had a shirt and pants. And the usher told him, "Where's your coat?" And was like, "I didn't want to wear one today." "Oh no, you don't come in here without a coat."
Mhm.
Can you imagine that? So he
Yeah.
just said, "Okay, I'm not gonna come in here without a coat." And he
Right.
turned around and stopped coming. So that come as you are. We need to start bring your true self into this place. And this place is not just church, into the organizations, because as you said, your unique value, and because you're in that ecosystem, there's something you have to bring in there that will uplift it to another level.
That will provide an experience, and I think that
Yes.
that's, and then we did go through that whole, there were a couple of families with young children who were in the same
Oh
bucket.
wow.
And so we did go to,
Hmm.
the church leadership and said, hey, these are our children. And they said, well, we don't support that here. So we knew it wasn't the right,
Oh,
it just wasn't. Yeah. So, we communicated. That's fair. I mean, it's kind of the whole thing with the client. It's like, if you're not going to communicate, that's fine. I'm not going to force you, but I can't work with people that don't communicate. I mean,
thank
it's
you.
not a match, right?
Ooh,
But I
it's
agree with
not.
you. I think having the communication is important. Giving the feedback is important. Not just saying, I don't like this and storming. I mean, again, you can do whatever you want, but like, I do
True.
think that we get to say, well,
Hmm.
hey, maybe this could work, But then if it's just not willing to work with you, that is not a reciprocal partnership. Um,
Correct.
but what I wanted to say about what Carl said is that, the whole mindset of I'm doing me, this is what I believe about that. I think I know we're in a transitional time. And part of what we're seeing on a large scale is people who have followed everything they've been told are finally awakening to, I got to figure me out
Mm,
because I don't know if I align with this. Like they're literally waking up to having gone through the paces their whole life and doing things the way they were told. I mean, you see people in corporate losing their jobs and all this. I'm like, I was dedicated to this organization for 30 years or whatever, and because I got to a certain age,
mm,
it's just so. I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I did all the things. I did what I was told. I got the credentials. I got the and I can't find a job. Right. I was
mm,
in this marriage and I worked and this person still cheated on me and left me. I mean, I think what we're finding is if we're just only doing that, if we're just following what the outside world is telling us,
mm.
we don't even know if we're aligned. I mean, that was one of the things I used to
Whew.
ask my friends in college, my Catholic friends. I'm like, well, so why do you believe? And a lot of them would say, well, because that's what we're told. I mean, this is what we learn. That's
Mm.
the way it is. I'm like, do you ever question it? And that was like blasphemy. I mean, it's like you don't question what you're. I was like, why not? I question everything that I'm told. Um, because that's the only way I can make it, truly mine. If
Yeah.
I don't like, if I ate a burger and I never digested it, I would die over time. You know why? Is because the
Mm.
burger would ferment and then it would eat away my stomach lining, and I would get intestinal. I would have my intestines just totally fall apart, and I would die. So guess what? You got to digest stuff. By digesting it means
Mm.
taking it into yourself, assimilating it, making it work for you. But you have to process it to do that. You can't just like and then not digest it,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So
Wow.
I think people are realizing that I'm just doing me is almost an awakening to, oh, I mean, and this is what we were supposed to do back when we were kids, right? That developmental stage where we're really supposed to get to adolescence and push back and all that. But so many people were so like, forced to just listen, listen, listen. They never got to develop mentally,
Mm.
formulate that ability to digest things in their own way, to interpret things in their own way, to decide for themselves, not dependent upon whether their family was affiliated or their community was affiliated or whatever, if that actually aligned with them.
Wow.
And finally people are, because the life that they're living is not making sense, and everything that they thought that they needed to be doing in order to get what they wanted is just totally imploding or
Mhm.
partially imploding. And then suddenly it's like, well, I don't even know who I am,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because I don't even know if I'm partially to blame,
Mm.
right? All
Gotcha.
these things that are happening, I don't know. I just was doing what I was told and it's not working, so I don't know what the solution is. So what happens is we finally realize we got to do me. I got to figure out me. I got to get a little selfish. I got to push back on the world. I've got to, because I'm now going back to my adolescent, well, the twos and the adolescents, 2, 3, 4 is when young kids really do the whole, I do myself, and then teenagers, definitely.
Mhm.
They're going back, they're reverting back. This is where we're seeing this even in behavior, because
Mm.
they're trying to gain that ability to self-regulate, self-know, self-understand that they didn't get before,
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
right?
when I read Carl's statement, I hear what you're saying. When I read it, I think it's coming. The angle I'm seeing from it is, you know, I the village doesn't constitute the herd effect in this
Well, yeah,
case.
but
The
it
the
will.
village, no, the village in this case is the community. It's about the community. I'll say it takes a village to raise a child from that
Right.
from that from that standpoint where we're 50 in the house or in this community, and I see your daughter walking on the street on the wrong side of the road and it's about to be hit. and I go, no, no, come here, baby, move this way, and just regulating for safety per se. And in that light, but I like what you said. But in this case, what I'm seeing is
Not my
it's
business.
it's not the village, correct?
Not my
You know,
business.
it's
Right.
it's it's I'm doing me. I'm taking my phone when I see somebody assaulting another person, and I'm doing me. Me is recording that thing and saying, look at that, she's getting whooped, or he's getting whooped. I'm going to put it on World Star, and then to put it on there. It's when I see that statement. But I like how you saw it, where it's I'm doing me in terms of, and you've said this before, in order for me to help you, I got to help myself. In order for me to truly open that door for you, I have to have the strength in my arms in order to open it for you. And you have to assist me in opening it. I'm not going to you be sitting there in the chair like, open that door for me. No, no, no. We are going to assist you. You're not going to be dependent upon me, right? But I love how three people, and I believe, look, eavesdroppers, you're on, Tracy, they're coming on like ants on here, and they're not even talking.
Well, it's
So
okay. It's okay. I don't want people to feel like you have to, because I mean, you're eavesdropping. Isn't that what eavesdropping is? You just listen, so you don't have to.
true,
But
true,
I just
true,
want to say, you
true.
and I are saying the exact same thing, because
Okay,
let's unpack this a little bit more.
let's do it.
The
Let's do
reason
it.
people can't feel it, I mean, because we live in a litigious society. Oh my God, if I get involved, I might get sued, or I might get what. That is because people are not self-owned. They're in their heads
Hmm.
thinking from a point of fear, in their heads thinking from a point of legality, in their
Hmm.
heads thinking they're not being, right? Because they never got that developmental stage fully owned, right? I know that I don't care if I get sued. If I see somebody's kid walking across the, the heart of the human in me, because I was
Yes.
allowed to be human. I was allowed to be free to be human, that I don't care what kind of law might tell me I shouldn't be doing that. If that kid is about to get mushed, I'm going to do something about it,
Hmm.
right? But I
Hmm.
have to be a self-regulated person to be able to do that,
To be able,
right? I have to be
I
able to make my own decisions, and call my own judgments, and make my own discernments, right? And that's precisely what I'm saying, is the
mm,
reason
mm,
why is because people, the do me, we have to go through that
to
to
that
own
circle.
ourselves, to say, I have the right to make the decision, no matter what government, what person, what legislation, what organization, whatever tells me. No, 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 you will lose all your rights, you will lose all these things if you do that thing. To be able to say, I'm sorry,
Hmm.
the what I believe and what I've owned as what makes sense to me
Hmm.
is not
Yeah.
in alignment with that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to be who I am, to stand in my body as the free human I am. And people want freedom. We have to choose freedom. It isn't about gaining freedom or being given freedom, or it's about choosing to be free. And sometimes there's a cost to that, because we have
Oh
to go
yeah.
up against the things that are trying to tell us we're not free,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is
Yes.
bogus. And so, but if we're not strong enough, if we're just told that we're supposed to just be doing what we're told to do,
Hmm.
we will be like, well, that's not my job, or that, because we learned that somewhere. I mean, the human in us, of course, knows to go save the child. But if you're stopping yourself, there's some reason you were conditioned not to do that, because the human in you got squelched by all the stuff that you've been told, and the
Hmm.
fears that has brought up within you.
Mm, mm. Wow, as you were talking here, it just switched from this village mindset to something different. And the different thing is, and which this can be applied. This is a person, I think we even said it in a way, a person who doesn't digest and own really does have a herd effect. And they're not going to be able to produce here on earth, to fulfill that passion, that purpose that they've been placed here,
Mm,
thinking that they want to be like Tracy or Walwyn or someone else. I like find, and it's never late, Tracy. It's never late to find your voice. It's never late to find yourself. You can be 60 and find out who you are. And it's the time that you're supposed to find yourself. And it's the time that you're supposed to step on the stage, do what you're supposed to do, and slide left.
Yeah,
It's never
for
late.
sure.
It's
For
never
sure.
late, because to live one day, Tracy, to live one day within your passion. Oh my goodness, to live one day within your purpose, rather. I
Both.
it's so amazing to be purposeful. It's like you talking. You remember when I always say here how you pick your words. Imagine the way you pick your words and you're living that way. You're living purposefully. Your words are chosen. You're not flippant. You are loving. You are kind. You are, because believe it or not, every single person has those that ability to be kind, patient, self-controlled, etc. But because of external factors, then we then put it on the external factor, like he or she or this situation has done something to me, so I have to react, not knowing they're moving you off kilt. And in
Totally.
order for you to be self-controlled, you are self-controlled. You are in a container that you're saying nothing, not the divorce, mm, not
Yeah.
the friend who betrayed me is going to make me bitter.
Yep. Yep.
Ay, ay, ay.
I love that.
Tracy,
So
we got 4 more minutes, 4 more minutes to be here. 3 more. Take us home.
well, so this went so fast, and I think what
No.
I love is we just pick up, and we are the vessels for whatever comes through. But I also just really want to thank everybody who comes on here and does eavesdrop. And I mean it. Like, I don't want people, sometimes that's the thing. I mean, it's why people listen to podcasts. It's why that, sometimes we're in the receptive mode and we just
Mm,
want to receive and digest what we're receiving. We're not ready to engage or say something. And
that's
so I
true.
really want to honor that, that this is not a place where you have to feel that you forcefully must, perform to be here. So I honor people for being here for whatever reason they're here. I love the comments. I'm fine with the no comments, because this is why Woman and I came on. So, I mean, I'm deeply grateful for this community. And you, Woman, who has tag teamed with me for 6 years. It just means a lot. I think I'm really feeling that these days, just what the things that, align, and the things that I feel like I'm ready to move on from,
Yeah.
and make different just investments of my time and energy. It
Mm,
not because of bad reasons, but because of aligned reasons,
mm,
right? And I think that is something too, that attachment can oftentimes, like you said, people get used to things being a certain way, and they've been going to a certain church, and they've sat in a certain seat, and they want it to be a certain experience. We can do that, and it's called attachment, right? We become
mm.
attached to people, places, things, experiences, and then we are no longer able to continue to create anew.
Oh
And
wow.
that's when we're actually dying. We're not living. So yeah, it's fun to unpack these things. So thanks again for everybody being
Uh,
here to unpack.
I'm gonna write in my notes here, uh, when you stop doing what? When you stop, da da
When you
da.
stop, yeah, basically when you stop opening yourself up to new experiences and new people and new things and new ways of even looking at something, you are no longer living, you're dying.
And then you are, ladies and gentlemen, we close on that, and we will open on that in 2 weeks. See you around in 2 weeks, Tracy. Take care of yourselves.
You too, Owen. Bye, everyone.